us back then to one of the big problems is that the lack of money. Anything I'm talking about here is seems kind of like a fairy tale at this point, because the idea of building an MSU campus in Traverse City and with what money would that be built with? What happened, well, we know what happened to our tax base because we allowed corporations to make decisions that were not in the best interests of the people. And we paid them tax abatements. We gave them tax money while they made their dumb decisions and ran this industry into the ground when they could have been ahead of it. After I made Roger, I had this idea. I thought, geez, you know what I really like to do is, and he doesn't have to even go on camera. I just really want to, if I could just get Roger Smith or the guy who succeeded him, I think his name was Stemple, just drive up there on Grand Boulevard with a Honda Accord or Honda Civic, and just get in the car and go for a drive with me for 30 minutes. All questions will be answered. Everything you need to know will be told to you in this drive. And they somehow, did none of them ever get into a Honda? Did none of them ever figure out why the consumer started buying those cars instead of their cars? Americans love their country. Americans do want to support their country. So it really actually would take quite a bit for an American. We're much more patriotic than other countries are, to get them to actually not buy their own country's vehicle, to buy a vehicle from Japan or Germany, former enemies. It'd really have to be something, wouldn't it? It'd have to be that GM, that Chevy, was such a piece of crap. And this other car was like, wow, I had my Honda Civic for 9 years. I never took it in the shop once, other than to replace the muffler, new tires, brake pads. And never even a system, this would be capitalism, that says that we have to respect the business gets the final say in the decisions that are made. And you go, well, okay, it's their business. They're putting up their money. They should be able to decide what kind of cars they want to build. Except no business operates as an island outside of the larger society that it has to exist in. And the decisions that they made on the 14th floor affected all the rest of us. And our society, our government, our economic system should be constructed in such a way where we have a little bit of say in the decisions that you're making, because they don't just affect you and your shareholders. They affect us. We're the stakeholders in this. And now look what's happened to our state as a result of just letting them run free during that entire period. Yeah, you know what they said? Yeah, my wife won't let me do anything. Oh, the wife, she's got me. That's the way they talk. They talk about the unions like, it was a convenient scapegoat. I mean, nobody will say that the unions are perfect or that all auto workers were perfect. Like in any institution or job, you're going to have your screw-ups. But my dad wasn't a screw-up, and his friends weren't screw-ups, and they worked very, very hard. And they had this thing at the end of the line called the suggestion box. And every month, they would pick some suggestion that they liked, and somebody get $50. And these guys were always putting these suggestions. They were telling them, the car should be front-wheel drive, not rear-wheel drive. Simple things like that. Long ago, I know these guys were always like on the line saying how much this would be better if they did it this way, but of course they had no power and control over that. I think if the actual auto workers had more say, not less, because they were also the consumers. They were also the ones having to take the car back to Mr. Goodwrench after 3 weeks because the glove box wouldn't stay shut. They were, Roger Smith wasn't going to Mr. Goodwrench with his glove box. But Joe Schmo was. Joe Schmo on the assembly line was. He knew what was wrong. And I got to believe that if they had more say, like they do in Germany, I mean, the German workers and the unions have a very strong say. They sit on the boards. They get to call some of these shots, and they are listened to. And I got to believe that has resulted in them being able to have a better car than the ones that we're stuck with. So